Hey friends, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel Terry. I am the author of 4 fantasy novels. Links will be in the description box down below if you're interested. It's a new year and that means it's time to set new goals. But first, did I manage to make my goals for last year? Luckily, I wrote them down when I went to make last year's goals videos because I am not going to rewatch that video to find out exactly what I said. So I hope that I wrote everything down correctly, but I'm just not going to listen to myself talk and look at my own face. Who wants to do that? And honestly, I do that enough as it is. I think that's the reason why I hate editing videos so much. But without further ado, let's get into what last year's goals were and whether or not I completed them. So my first goal for 2024 was to publish 2 more books, and I definitely achieved that. The Phoenix and the Crown came out in April, and A Tale of Two Sisters came out in October. So that goal was definitely succeeded. The second goal was read more than last year. I actually had to look up how much I read last year because clearly that number must have bothered me for me to say that, and I read 56 books in 2023. I read 64 in 2024, so definitely read more than that. The number of books that I read matters less than did I read good books, which I actually did the math, and since I started keeping track in 2019, I like about 43% of the books that I read, which is much higher than I thought. That's almost half. It's like a 50-50 shot whether you like a book or not, really. But I thought it'd be lower than that. I thought it'd be closer to 33%, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. So I did read more books than I did the year before, so that goal was also achieved. My third goal was continue to build my audience and improve my sales. I think I did this, particularly on TikTok. I started targeting smaller hashtags with my TikToks, and that really saw an increase in views. I'm not going viral or anything like that, but I do get proportionately more views than I feel like my small follower count warrants, and I know that I'm getting my books in front of more people. I'm seeing more engagement. People are starting to leave comments, and for the first time starting in about the end of November, I felt like my marketing was having a clear effect on my sales. I was starting to see that correlation for what I felt like was the very first time. I could see evidence that my increase in posting to TikTok with improved hashtags and targeting was leading to more sales and page reads. The unfortunate side of this is that TikTok is really the only social media platform that has this effect, that consistently performs well the way that I want. Like, it's consistent. Every now and then I'll upload a TikTok that for whatever reason the platform doesn't like and they kind of hide it. I still haven't figured out why that is, but for the most part TikTok is very consistent for me, and I'm starting to see the effects of that. Instagram is a dumpster fire. In 2023, I was getting consistent 1,000+ views on all of the reels that I uploaded to Instagram, and then in January of 2024 it just tanked and I never managed to recover it. I may have had 1 or 2 reels since then get over 1,000 views, but it's nothing like TikTok. I still don't really get 1,000 views per TikTok upload. Occasionally, but very rarely, but I get far more views and engagement on TikTok than I ever do on Instagram, and I don't know why that is. I've tried doing on Instagram what I do on TikTok and target the smaller audience hashtags, and it just doesn't seem to work. And then I had one that I uploaded to Facebook because I post to both Instagram and Facebook simultaneously, and then it got like 19,000 views. And I cannot for the life of me figure out. I don't know if it's because I used a hashtag I've never used before. I don't know if it's because I use Taylor Swift music. I just don't know, and it's a guessing game, and that's what I don't like about this. TikTok for me is not a guessing game, and so with it potentially going away later this month, I'm concerned what that will do to not only my sales, but a lot of other author sales. I know that TikTok is a huge boon for book sales and promoting your work and getting it out there and getting it in front of people, because that's the hardest part about all of this, to be honest. So I don't know what will happen with that moving forward, but it is a little disheartening to have just sort of started to see the results that you're looking for and it could all go away. But I do think I succeeded. I know here on YouTube I definitely grew my audience more. I'm over 1,000 subscribers now, which is crazy. Like, this is the thing that I wanted when I started my channel back in 2021, and it took a while to get there, but now it's funny because I don't really even care about monetizing this channel, and I don't have enough watch hours to do that anyway, but that's not a goal, so who cares? My fourth goal was attend a convention, and I looked back at this and I thought, that was a goal that I made? That's something about people, like, it's always interesting to me how in one moment we can be so sure of what we think and what we want to do, and then we look back later, sometimes even a short time later, and we think, why did I want to do that? It's funny to me. I assume this was in reference to a fantasy convention that's not really all that far from me, and I thought about attending it, but I ended up not doing it. When I looked at the authors who had signed up to be there, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to that event or not, and in the end, the decision was made for me because it happened to be at the same time as the very last farmer's market, which I had already signed up for, and if you signed up and don't come, you don't get your money back, unless, of course, the entire market has to be canceled for bad weather or something like that. So I had already signed up for the farmer's market. I was going to do that, and to be honest, don't regret it at all. That farmer's market went extremely well for me, and I feel like I might not have done that well if I went to the convention, to be honest, but I wouldn't necessarily rule it out for this year. We'll have to do some more thinking about that. But no, I did not attend a convention in 2024. And my fifth and final goal for 2024 was to write 3 more books, which I did. I wrote the 3rd book in my 1920s mystery series, I wrote my upcoming 5th novel and my upcoming 6th novel, and hopefully I'll be able to do that again in 2025. So that brings us to 2025 goals. Publish 2 more books. I would like to publish 2 more books in 2025. I feel like 2 books a year is a good pace and it's manageable for me, at least it has been thus far. And I think this is definitely doable because book 5 is already done. Book 6 has been drafted. It will need to be rewritten before it comes out, but I don't expect that there's a lot of work that needs to be done for this book because even though book 6 never existed on its own in written form, it was always just an idea that I had, it is connected to book 5, which has been around nearly as long as Lightbringer has. So it had a lot of structure to build upon. And it wasn't actually as hard as I thought that it would be. Like, this idea that was only in my head now exists as a first completed draft, and I don't anticipate that there's much editing that needs to be done. Just a few things here and there that I've identified that need to be tweaked for sure, but I think publishing these 2 books in 2025 will definitely be doable, and I'm really excited to share them with you. Book 5 is one of my favorites. Of all the books that I've written, I can't say too much about it, but these 2 are going to be another duology, like the Atlas Sea duology. So you have book 5, which is the main story, and then book 6 is a prequel sequel companion to it. I don't know if people really like this format at all. I get the feeling that perhaps not, given the reception that A Tale of Two Sisters received. It's not really popular. It's doing quite poorly. It's my worst performing book ever. I only have the 4, but it's not doing the way that I wanted it to. But at the end of the day, I don't really care if people are interested in prequel sequels or not. I have a story to tell and I'm going to tell it, and asking an author not to tell a story that they have to tell is an impossible ask. So we're going to do it anyway. My next goal for 2025 is write 3 more books. This is going to be tricky. I'm outlining what I hope to be book number 7 right now, and then I want to draft book number 8, which is its sequel, not a prequel sequel, just a direct sequel. And then in October, I really want to write this book that has taken over my life. This would hopefully be number 9, really far down the pipeline when number 5 hasn't even come out yet. This book is almost as old as book 5 and Lightbringer. I came up with it the same year, and it has been totally revamped. I wrote it once, it was 99 pages long, it was terrible, and I never touched it again from 7th grade till the time I'm 26 years old. And then in May of this year, all of a sudden, the plot was revamped, I got lots of inspiration, I have a fully formed plot now, characters, world building, it's really completely different than it was, and I'm so excited to write this book, and I am obsessed with it. I love the idea, it's taken over my life, but it's got like kind of Halloween vibes, and so I want to write it during October so I can really cash in on that. This is all dependent upon whether I can get book 7 and book 8 done, because obviously they need to come out before book 9, so we'll see what happens. But I think I can do it if I don't mess around. Book number 6, which I just finished drafting in December, took me 4 months to write, which is about double the time it usually takes. I know for some people that probably may not seem like much time at all. Some people take way longer, some people take like a month, I don't know. But for me it was a long time, and it felt like the book was never going to end. And I did like the book, I'm happy with it, and I'm glad that I stuck with it and that it is done now, but I don't know if that might happen with some of these other books. Like I said, we're in uncharted waters now. Books 7 and onward have only ever really existed as ideas, and book 9, its first draft is so completely unlike what it turned into, it may as well have only ever existed as an idea. So it might take me longer than I'd like to draft these books because I don't have years and years and years of rewriting behind them, but we will see. I do plan to try for all 3 books in 2025. I may end up having to write constantly instead of taking a month or 2 break in between projects, but nothing ever stays the same. We will see what happens. hopefully in a year's time I will be able to sit here in front of this camera and tell you that yes, I succeeded and I got all 3 books done. But we will have to see. My next goal is read 50 books. I don't really set a specific number of books that I read. I just set 50 books as my Goodreads reading challenge for the year at 50. I know I can probably exceed that, and if I do, great. I would prefer to read really good books instead of a specific number of books, but I just set it at 50 and then basically whatever happens, happens. There's not a one set number that I go for, but if I read 50 in a year, I feel like I'm doing okay. I don't want to get so busy with things that I don't have time to read because reading is really important. I don't feel like I could be a writer, and certainly not a good writer if I am one, if I didn't read. So I want to definitely make sure that I dedicate time for the reading. My next goal is to attend another farmer's market. This first year I did only one farmer's market in one town that was near me because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. This first time I really had no idea what to expect going in, but my experience this year was great. I'm so glad that I did it. When I do my how much money I made this year video comparing to last year, if I end up making more money, it's because of those farmers markets. They were so good for me. I think being able to meet people in person and interact with them is a big help. I don't actually sell that many books online, even though I'd like to, and I think the authors that have made it do. So I really would like to get more online sales, but it's so nice to have this other avenue that performs better when the online sales just aren't there. So in 2025, I would like to attend a second farmer's market in another town. It's a bit smaller, or at least it was in 2024, than the one that I attended. So I don't know if it will be as successful. I don't really have any expectations for it. I feel like if it's even just a little bit successful, that's good because it adds to the success that I already have from the other one. So we will see about that. I would kind of like to add a tentative goal of posting more here on YouTube, except I don't think that it necessarily will happen. I don't have consistent content to post about. I do still do book reviews if I find books that I genuinely like and I feel like I can recommend them and if I have something to say about them, but I don't make critical reviews anymore, which is what I think the bulk of my content used to be before I crossed the boundary into becoming a published author myself, and it's no longer appropriate for me to criticize other authors' work, even if I may have some strong feelings about it. I do miss making these more negative reviews just as much as I like helping readers find books that they might enjoy and that they might connect with. I also like just sharing my thoughts about books that I didn't necessarily like, and I don't want to say warning readers away from them because at the end of the day, it's ultimately your decision. I just like giving people information so that they don't go into anything completely blind, but we don't do that anymore. So posting more consistently to YouTube might be hard. I don't really make vlogs. I like watching other authors' vlogs and lifestyle content, but I don't think that's for me to make. So when it comes to the positive reviews, those are so sporadic. Like I said, I only like 43% of the books that I read, apparently, according to the math. So the odds that I will like any one book that I pick up are not necessarily high, so it's sporadic. I don't know when or if I'm going to get any good books to review. If I do, I film it and I upload it, but I can't really say with any consistency that I will have something to post every Saturday. I'd like not to disappear for entire months at a time like I did occasionally in 2024, but I can't make any promises, so that is a tentative, hopeful goal, not something I'm going to beat myself up about if I don't end up achieving it. And my final goal, I hesitate to make this a goal as well, and that's to sell more books than I did the year before. This is always a goal that I have, and I realize at some point you're going to fail at this goal. Everybody probably does. There's going to be years that are better than others, and vice versa. The reason that I hesitate to make this a goal, even though it's something that I really want to happen, is because it relies on other people. And I follow this author on Instagram who says she never makes goals based on other people's actions, only her own, because you have no control over other people's actions, and I cannot make this goal a reality. It relies on other people. And I hate that. I'm somebody who's really independent. I don't like relying on other people because I feel like people will always let you down. But when it comes to sales, authors, for better or worse, need others. They need readers, they need the public. So I can't make this a success. I can't guarantee that I will sell more books than I did last year. I can try my best. I can do my best at marketing. I can attend more in-person events, and I can put more books out into the world for people to be introduced to and choose from. But ultimately, this is not something that I can make happen. So it's a hopeful goal. I hope that I will sell more than I did last year, even if it's just a little bit, and it probably will be. I wanted this to be my career when I was 12, when I decided to become an author, and that is still the ultimate goal. Going full-time, earning enough from my writing that I can do that is the ultimate goal. This past year has been rough for me for multiple reasons, and I think it's the same story for a lot of people. And one of the things that I'm coming to the conclusion is that I probably will not ever be able to make a living from my writing alone. And that's just what it is. You have to sell an immense amount of books to make a living from your writing when you make like $3 per book, at least from online sales. In-person sales is a bit more, but it's hard. And you have to constantly write new books to appeal to people who have already read your old ones because they're probably not going to buy them again. And you have to constantly market your old books to reach new people. And that's not an easy feat. And it's especially going to get even harder when some of our resources are possibly no longer available to us. But all of that being said, this year, despite its challenges, was still more successful than the year that came before. And to be clear, 2023 was not an easy year for me either. So there's that to keep in mind. It was a more successful year. I achieved the majority of my goals. I did grow my audience. I did see an improvement in my reach and my sales, I suppose, for my books. So that's all good news. And I just want to try to keep a positive attitude and be grateful for what I do have, because it's hard on social media when you play the comparison game and you see everybody else's success stories and you don't have that, but you don't know who else might be struggling even more than you. So I just try to keep that in mind and be grateful for what I do have. And I am grateful for each and every one of you, each and every one of the people that have read my books, that have supported me in any way, that have given me and my stories a chance. You guys enable me to keep doing this. Like, I would never not do this, but it is true that books cost money to produce, and having money from your previous books does help you keep going. And of course, seeing people's reactions to your books is priceless. Like, it keeps you going. The feeling that somebody liked something that you created has not gotten old for me. I don't think it ever will, and I certainly hope that it never will. So if you are still here, if you have supported me in any way, thank you so much. Here's to 2025. I look forward to seeing what this next year brings, and most of all, being able to share 2 brand new stories with you. So there you have it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. If you liked this video, feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. My name is Rachel Terry. I'm the author of 4 fantasy novels, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!